Hold on, boo. Let me start this. Hello, everyone. I would like to welcome you all back to another healing episode of the Whole Story Sundays. I am your guest, Jakil, your host, actually, Jakil, the Holistic One, Gilchrist. And I do have very special guests for you guys. We are going to be bringing to you all a topic called Embers of Love, which is just talking about intimacy or keeping the intimacy lit in your relationship. I think we on episode like 26 or so, and I'm excited. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce my parents, the Gregorys. And yeah, you guys can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Janice Gregory,
and I'm Rudy Gregory.
All right, yay. So, yo, guys, we have a very interesting topic for you guys. Basically, we wanted to talk about intimacy, and that is because a lot of people, when they think about intimacy in a relationship, of course, what comes to their mind is sex or, sexual relations. But we're talking more so about how to, overcome hard times, how to be able to stay connected with each other no matter what. And I've, chose my parents because they've overcome so much and they have so much to give as it relates to relationships. So if that's okay with y'all, I'll go ahead and get into the first question, okay?
Okay.
Okay. So why is being intimate with God and yourself important before being intimate in a relationship?
And you know what, though, before we start, I just want to do a small disclaimer because we're talking about what works for us, what has worked for us in the last 25 years of marriage. Mm-hmm. So this is just our, what as it relates to our journey, but we're hoping that when we speak of the things that that works for us in our journey, that it could be some nuggets for others who are newly married, who have been in their marriage 10, 15 years, and for those who have even been in their marriage for 30, 40, 50 years. You can learn from anything. My husband has a way of saying you can learn from a baby, so you can learn from anyone. So I just want to say that, just a small disclaimer.
Go ahead.
And when we were talking today about trying to make our lives, I guess, understandable to others, because people may not understand why we do it. We call it relationship gumbo. So what we put in our relationship may not taste like yours or may not look like yours, but it works for us.
Mm-hmm. I love that relationship gumbo thing. That's what I should have thought it. I'm playing. But no, I also wanted to just say this. This episode is for people who are pro relationship. So meaning you're looking forward to being in a marriage, or your marriage is at a place where you want to dive deeper into intimacy. This is not for people who are anti-relationship. And the reason why I say that is because some people, they'll listen to an episode like this and they get kind of a little frustrated. So please just understand, if you're a person who not wanting to fall in love or not understanding how to grow with another person, then this might not be the relationship for you. Exactly. I mean, the story for you. But yeah, so alrighty, guys.
All right, we're ready.
Okay, so yeah, I asked the question of how has having a relationship with yourself and with God help why is those things important before being in a relationship with someone else?
So in that, first you have to look at the definition of intimacy, right? Intimacy means close, familiarity, or friendship, closeness, being one, right? So it's important that I guess you have to know yourself. So if you're so first we have to get that definition out. What does intimacy mean? And then as it relates to God, having an intimate relationship with God means realizing that a plentiful or bountiful relationship cannot be found in another person, only in Him. Only in Him. You can only find it in Him, because you see that there's a lot of people that we consider maybe serial monogamous or monogamous, whatever. They have to be in a relationship. They don't want to, they go from A to B to C to D. And I think it's important to understand first that, know yourself, be intimate with yourself, know your pros, know your cons, dive deep into yourself, and then, but before you can do that, Only God can show you those things.
Exactly.
He's going to reveal to you anything. When you go to him and you strip yourself, you fall nigh, he's gonna show you those things.
Exactly.
I love it. I'm listening, Dad, because I know you can't. I know you got something to say, so I'm listening.
No. Basically, I just co-sign everything your mother said, because, like you said, when you build that intimacy with God, your closeness with God, you'll know who you are, and knowing who you are will prepare you for who you're
prospective
with.
person.
Exactly, because if you don't know who you are, you're going into a relationship bringing them a shell.
We always say, I'm sorry, babe.
Mm-hmm.
We always say, going into a relationship, a lot of us always bring our ambassadors.
Exactly.
Or as y'all young kids can say, catfishing.
Yeah. But you're not doing it on purpose, because you actually don't know who you're bringing to them. So you may look a certain way, but when you meet somebody, or their first they seeing is you, but once they get to know you, be like, whoa, what in the world I done got myself into?
And just being intimate with yourself also was one of the other notes that Babe had made. It gives you a true examination of yourself. It gives you a true examination of yourself. It makes you a better you, husband, wife, parent, etc. to everyone else.
Exactly.
I do want to just say something about what both of y'all said. Wait, first of all, way to open up the episode. I just wanted to say something about what both of you guys said regarding, as like intimacy with each other. Before you can have that, you got to have it with yourself. The reason why I'm saying that is because with me being on my own, I've learned more about myself with literally living by myself, and the standing of my relationship with God. Things I didn't even know I like, now I like. I didn't know I like jazz music. Now all of a sudden I like jazz music. It's something that small, but I also didn't know I suffered with, I got an attitude problem. And I had to learn that by living with myself, because I'm like, I even get attitudes with myself in this house. So if I get an attitude with myself, imagine what I would bring to the table in a relationship.
Exactly.
So those things God are showing me. He's also showing me, things that I absolutely can't take. Like I can't take a lot of noise. So if I'm in a relationship and you noisy, that might not work. You see what I'm saying? Or it might work, but we'll have to have that conversation. Exactly. So I'm saying that to say you guys are right. Like it is important to know yourself and know God first.
But everything you just said about you and stuff, that's what you call in your episode your baggage. You bringing that baggage into into a relationship, and that's a problem in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? And look how it can fester on and add to other things.
And you know what? First off, I just want to know, can y'all hear me well?
Yes. We can.
Okay, so basically, another thing that I wanted to say in regards to that is on a deeper level when it comes to, I'm gonna just bring it up because we're very open and honest on the Whole Story Sundays. When it comes to my finances, it's things that God are showing me that are spiritually rooted with my finances. That I wouldn't have known, I wouldn't have wanted to learn in a relationship.
Right.
Because then it's
that's things you that's things you wanna grasp now and get a good hold on now, because for I think for us as people, just being human, we always we envision what we want, right? And I think your dad has made good points, because we can envision what we want all day, but when we look in the mirror, are we seeing that very same thing?
Exactly.
So it's important to, that's why I like I said, we want to jump in and dive in, and again, this is just our perspective, but I'm just saying it's important. This is a very good question, because it's really important to know you, so that then you would be able to better know and understand yourself.
Exactly.
But I mean, just like I said, being intimate with God, He is really, really, really going to show you.
Going to pull the covers off you, so you there naked. You don't have nothing to hide. Just like you said with your finances, when you going into a relationship with your finances tore up, and the young man you get, he may be a stickler for paying his credit on, paying his bills on time. saving and setting up for retirement, where you could be, not saying you, a
But
person
just saying,
for
example,
I'm gonna shop until I drop. I mean, I'll let tomorrow worry about tomorrow. But you know,
how does that work?
I know exactly what you're saying, and why that's important is because that can kind of disrupt intimacy, because he's like, I want to take you on this date, but you've already spent money elsewhere.
Exactly.
Or I want to have a good conversation with you, but I'm irritated because you're not handling your business. And you see what I'm saying? So that type of stuff means it's discord in a relationship. And
with discord, you can't be intimate with discord, because intimacy, a portion of the definition of intimacy is closeness.
And you don't want to be close to nobody when you
already upset with them.
Y'all speaking some facts, because I just really think about it. When I'm mad at a person, I don't want to be bothered by them.
No,
or I need time to get it together. But if this is an ongoing issue, then it's like you never having no recovering period to count up.
Right.
So that's a good way to, y'all see how we already started y'all outright with question number 1. So now we're gonna go ahead and go into question number 2. Many African Americans never have seen their parents intimate. How does lacking the image of love shape couples' intimacy in relationships?
The thing about that is, one of the things we spoke about when we were looking at this question is, you cannot mimic what you've never seen. So can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So if you've never seen it, you can't recreate something you've never seen. And in many of our households, and when I say our, I'm speaking of the African American households, and it just doesn't stop there. We're talking about Black, brown, everything in between. A lot of times we rarely see a 2-parent household. A lot of times for our communities and in our households, a lot of times our households are being primarily ran by women. So therefore you don't see it. You don't see it. Mom is working 2 and 3 jobs trying to keep that household. And if dad is around, how impactful is he as it relates to the household? Is he interacting with the kids? Is he, you don't see it. I think I just saw something recently. I was looking at something, and it just stated that the African American household, for the first time in maybe 30 years, just hit the 2-parent. 2 parents in a household was like at 70%, and that was like the first time in 30 years. So therefore, you can see that a lot of times, not knocking on the men for whatever reason, it has just not been there.
And when me and your mother was going over these questions, I thought about from like when I can remember from an early age on to like 18 on out of the house, I could only think of one handful of people. I mean, my whole life, my friends or people I knew, I could only think of a handful, not using all my fingers, of how many people I knew or friends that had their mother and their father. I'm talking about not just in the house, but productive parenting. Not like you got your mother and your father, but your father he's there, but he's not there. You know what I'm saying? Or not doing anything to make the living conditions better, just there, in and out of jail or drugs or whatever the case may be. So in all of my years, I can only think of less than a handful of people that I grew up with both parents in the household. And I'm like, wow. I'm 49 years old. Wow.
Can I ask you a question? I was going to call you Mr. Gregory.
That'll work.
But Dad, can I ask a question? I've heard a lot of Black males. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of Black males tell me that they've been to more funerals than weddings.
Wow.
And I think to myself, is that because it's lacking that, like you said, productive parenting thing? That
that has a lot to do with it. I don't know the numbers of statistics or how different you may turn out with both parent and household. How I don't know the numbers are. You are more likely to be college graduate, successful, married, with a family, with both parents in the household. I don't know the numbers, but with both parents in the household, you stand a better chance. Both parents
productive
on the same page, working for a common goal to take care of their home, raise their family, and, just put their families in the best possible place they could be. Now you stand a better chance of, succeeding in life. Now look at you and your sisters and brothers versus people that don't, not comparing you saying you're better than them or but just look at people that that they're struggling.
The difference that it made having us both here being productive and basically kind of making sure that you guys, that we kind of kept y'all on the straight and narrow a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we had a path laid out for y'all, and we stuck to it. Me and your mom, we tried to always stick together. She didn't like necessarily hide nothing. I'm letting your dad know. So I'm not gonna try to sweep it under the rug. And then by the time I find out it's so far gone, nothing can be done. So when stuff would go wrong, she's like, I'm letting your dad know. So we work together to try to always find the best solution or the best way to raise y'all or to take care of our household. So,
And I agree. And the reason why I agree with you guys is because I will honestly say, especially now the age that I am, it's very hard for me. You do kind of, they say women always look for their dad in relationships. And I would have a hard time with the man who wouldn't come home and like, do certain things such as cutting the grass, because I visualize dad coming home from work and cutting the grass. And I remember him doing this. I would have a problem with a man who didn't work at all, because you're talking about somebody who was on dialysis 3 days a week and still going to work. You see what I'm saying? And so for me,
there's no excuse. There's no excuse.
It's not. And because of those things, I feel like I can understand that if I didn't see those things in a relationship, that would impact me being able to be intimate with you as a man. And it will impact me being able to respect you. So because I know I don't want to disrespect you, it's just better for me to say that's a standard for me. You have to protect and provide for your family.
Yeah.
So I agree with you guys on that. But if you're a woman who always saw the woman working, then
you're gonna. You hear that a lot. I don't need a man for nothing. I don't need a man because they never saw him doing. They never saw him there in that capacity anyway.
What you say? You can't mimic what you've never seen.
So in their mind, that's the norm.
And then going back even further, when you get in that intimate relationship with God, those things like that wouldn't be acceptable for you. Because God is your father. God is going to protect you, going to take care of you, provide, nurture, and all those good things. So, and when you meeting a mate, a man, if you want to be meeting a man, you want a man that's going to do those things. If he's not, then God couldn't have sent him to me.
Wow. Right. And you know what? Can I make a statement or something that I saw on Instagram? And I want to know y'all views on this. It's kind of a sidebar, but it was a Spanish guy up there, and they were on a podcast, and he said Spanish women are taught to be wives at early ages. Black women are taught to be independent. And at first, a lot of Black women became upset, but I didn't, because that's true. I think about how many Black women are taught, get a job. You don't need a man for nothing. Get a degree. You don't need a man for nothing. Cook and clean, but for your kids, not for your man. Why he said,
exactly.
You saying, so he said
exactly.
Women are taught that. So do you guys believe that why a lot of women can't be intimate with a partner is because they're taught to be independent?
When you say taught, it's kind of, it's to me, that's something that's almost forced on you because that's all you've ever seen. You know what I'm saying? So who's going to take care of you? Who's only ever taken care of you? Your mother, because she's the only one been there. So you see your mother work, and and that's all you seen. So if that's all you seen, that's gonna be your.
And
You get it? You know what I mean?
That's what I was, asking was because, naturally we'll get offended, but that is the truth. Like,
I totally agree because, like I said, our households primarily are ran by single mothers, and basically, if you look at it, if your mom is working to provide for you, you're cleaning house, you're cooking dinner, you're fending, and if there's siblings around, you're taking care of the siblings. So you are taught that, you know what I mean? But my thing is, at what point do we break that cycle? You know what I mean?
But when you see that, then all of a sudden you going into it angry or bitter. You ain't got time for no man. They ain't gonna do but break your heart. They ain't gonna do but let you down. Don't waste your time. Just take care of you. Depend on you. Don't worry about it. And see that's when you being taught that stuff. Don't depend on no man for nothing because they ain't gonna do but let you down and disappoint you and. Because so in our culture, a lot of times, so many of us, that's what we've seen, so.
Right. And you know what? I love what you just said, because on the contrary of that, a lot of men are growing up in these same household where the moms are telling their kids, don't depend on a man, but their male child is hearing this and they're either feeling like some type of resentment, or they're feeling like, well, good, I'll depend on a woman then.
Right.
It's almost like, don't forget that what you're teaching your daughter, you also reinforce.
Teaching your male child. Yep.
So I just wanted to know kind of, y'all thoughts on that. So now we'll go to question number 3, y'all. And question number 3 says, has arguments and bad times shaped your ability to grow deeper in love and marriage?
Absolutely. Because for me and your dad, our philosophy is what's small to you may be big to the other person.
Vice versa.
And vice versa. Not all things are as serious to that other, because y'all are two different people operating on two different whatever, just two different people, right? So something that is really big to me, he may not take it as serious as that, right? So he's like, girl, why? I mean, why? Why is it all of that? Or I might be saying, come on now, it's not even that serious. So for us, we understand that that each other's feelings and perspectives are valid, right? And so one other aspect of that is for us, when we were going through trials, we were able to have realistic and honest conversations and expectations for one another, no matter how painful they were.
We took them on heads up, Where you gonna run to? Upstairs? You're gonna have to come downstairs.
Yeah, so you're gonna face it.
We're gonna have to face it.
I mean, whether it's an argument, over a conversation, or something happened or whatever, or whether it's a financial issue or whatever, you can't run from it.
Exactly.
Those are things that should definitely make you stronger in a relationship.
And that don't, and being able to do it like that don't come overnight.
No.
It's growth, maturity, you know what I mean? So it's just something you got to work at.
Because if you look, a lot of things can break down a relationship, especially finances within a marriage. People, finances, that sometimes that's the number one reason for divorce for a lot of people. You know what I mean?
And I've heard, sorry, baby. I've heard some people be like, I don't know how much my wife makes. She don't know how much I make. I don't tell her nothing. She don't tell me. That can't work.
No, that don't roll in a Gregory household.
That don't work. We work together.
That's right. That's right. Together. We're stronger together.
Yes. And I feel like now on a spiritual level, do y'all think that can kind of also open up the doors to discord, like not communicating?
Of course. Because communication is key. Another thing that me and your dad had spoke about too is, like, when you say break down the doors of the communication and all of that, one of the other things we were talking about with is never relive the same argument, right? Because like, go ahead, babe, I'll let you start off.
Go ahead.
Because like with never relive the same argument, sometimes couples, they'll table something, right? Meaning they'll have an argument and one person may think it's done. We done came to some sort of agreement, and the other person, that argument is just tabled. It's tabled for the next disagreement, right? For me and your dad, we don't do that. We are never, once we have this conversation, once we have this debate, once we talk about this,
and get it all
we're
on the table.
We're resolving it.
Now, it may take talking about it once, twice, 3 times, but we're not going to stretch it out for the next 5 years. We still arguing about.
No, we're not doing that. So basically, we either do 2 things. We can agree to disagree, or we can resolve it, right? So and come to some kind of conclusion or consensus for something that works for both of us. But we're not gonna argue about something one day, right? And then we good, we thinking it's over.
Think it is over.
And then he come in the house, or I come in the house 3 days later, and I'm like, hey, look, why? Why?
And you still holding on to it. So sit down, have a realistic, open, honest conversation about whatever bothers you, and get it all out. And just make your situation better. But you got it, when you're in the middle of a discussion, argument, or whatever you want to call it. If the conversation is about something on you, it's not going to feel good. It's going to hurt. You got to take your licks. As a man or a woman or whatever, you got to take your licks. You got to grin and bear it and hear the other person's perspective of it. Is it going to feel good? No. Don't nobody want to hear about themselves. I do not want to hear about how when I come home with attitude because I'm mad at somebody at work, I want to come home and take it out on my kids and my wife. I don't want to hear my old lady tell me that I'm hateful and nasty. I'm just using examples. I'm hateful and nasty and I'm mean. And then she comes to me, what am I getting mad for? You got to look at it, and sometimes you got to sit back and think. Well, when I come home, why do kids always make sure they run to go outside and nobody wants to be around me? Well, maybe it's something valid to what she's saying. So you got to be open to listen and receive, even when it's about you, because when we want to talk about the other person, we want to talk about it then, but when it's about us,
we don't want to hear it.
No,
but those have definitely, arguments or bad times. I think those are the things that they have definitely helped shape us, and grow deeper in love, because we've come to these sort of conclusions as it relates to us.
Wow. And the reason why I ask that, guys, is because I think a lot of people, what y'all just said about we don't relive old arguments, I don't think what people understand is when you're resentful or when you're holding on to stuff that happened years ago, it literally can interrupt the intimacy, because you can't, it's a barrier to it, really, because think about it, how can I fully be intimate with you and I'm still thinking about an argument or a situation that happened 2 years ago? You know what I'm saying? And it's you can't really show that person the full amount of love. It's the same. It's the same with the friendship or any type of relationship, really.
Right. Even
if you're holding it towards yourself, like when we asked about the question at the beginning about being intimate towards yourself, you got a lot of people who live with a lot of regret and shame and anger towards themselves. So they don't go for certain job promotions because they don't feel like they deserve it. They don't feel like they deserve love. And it's the same in relationships. When you're holding on to unforgiveness towards a person, they don't deserve my love. They don't deserve my time.
No.
But you got still in a relationship with them. So why are you wasting your own time?
And and a lot of that sometimes can even be subliminally, Kiki. They may not actually say it, or they may not, but they're still angry about it. You know what I mean?
They may not realize that they are as angry, and you're like, okay, I'd have forgiven you, and we swept it on the rug, but you deep down, you holding it in until something small come up, and then it just flare up.
Flare up again.
All I did was I forgot to say good morning, and she can bit my head off.
But that's just something else. That's just a
unresolved issues. That's been swept under the rug.
Wow, that is so profound, y'all. So basically, it's safe to say that hard times and relationships, but overcoming them is what causes intimacy, not the opposite. If you don't deal with it, it's gonna still block.
But see question one. You know what I'm saying? That goes with your intimacy with God. So you dealing with all that. God, I have a hard time forgiving people or not letting, holding on to stuff. And see, and then you go into a relationship with that unforgiveness in you. So every little thing, everything, even little things, you still, you hold on to everything. So that goes back to you got to have that intimate relationship with God so you can know yourself and pour yourself out to God. Like, God, I'm having a problem with forgiving people. And it's
and forgiveness in a relationship.
But then you have to find out where did that come from. That
Mm-hmm.
probably came something from your childhood or why I don't forgive people. So that's why when you intimate with God, all that stuff can be laid on the table, and God can help you work through whatever. You know what I mean? So,
wow, that right there is.
I mean, all this sounds easy, but this is a process.
And that's what I think people, a lot of times, people go into marriages with these preconceived notions. Marriage takes work. We go into these relationships and we think that it's gonna be bliss. We think that, and marriage is good for those who want it and are gonna put the work and put that work in. However, you have to understand that the operative word is work.
Yes.
You have to work towards your happiness. You have to work towards financial stability. You have to work towards, making sure that you are loving one another the way that you want to be loved. You have to work at it. Marriage is work. It's never a cakewalk. But I think a lot of times, and I'm speaking from the woman's perspective, a lot of times, and I'm pretty sure it's the same way for men, but I'm just only speaking to the women right now, because a lot of times we go into these relationships and these marriages, and we have all of these preconceived notions about it, and because we always want to say we got a husband, but marriage is work.
It is. And like she said, always want to say we want to have a husband. I was telling your mother this story earlier today. We was going over this stuff. I was at the bank one day, and this teller, I knew her from always coming in the bank. So the other ladies were celebrating her. Oh, I'm engaged. I'm getting married. I'm like, okay, well, congratulations. She all happy. And I'm like, and she started talking a little bit about him. I mean, well, as long as he treats you good, do he treat you good? She looked off. He's kind of mean.
She got to think about it.
But when we get married, I'm gonna fix all that. And I just looked like, wow. So you know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, okay, good luck with that. So you already going into it with red flags. So going back to question one, you know what I mean? So be intimate, knowing what you want, what you not only want, what you deserve. You know what I mean?
Come on.
And because in her mind, she want to go into the relationship changing.
I'm gonna change that.
But
how does that work? What does that look like?
It's funny that you would say that, because can y'all hear me?
Yeah, now.
It's so funny that you would say that, because it reminds me of saying like, it's almost like you're more excited for the honeymoon than you are the actual marriage.
Right. But what you gotta understand is the honeymoon don't last always.
Exactly.
So, like I said, you already going into, that's what I'm saying. Instead of, digging deep, the first thing she said, but I'm gonna change that after we get married. No, you're not.
That's just like saying he don't work, but he said once we get married and have kids, he gonna start working and take care of us. What?
Right.
He ain't even got it in it.
You know what? I want to ask about that then. How important, an off-topic question, but one topic, how important is it to have premarital counseling?
It's very important.
It's very important.
Because those things you may not feel comfortable bringing up, you're going to have to bring them up, because in counseling may tell you, write down some pros and cons, some problems or some issues or some concerns that you have about the other person, and you may be able to get those things put on the table so him or her has to address them. You know what I mean?
But the thing is, I guess, because to me, premarital counseling, to me, that's number one, right? Mm-hmm. But you have to look at how honest are you going to be. To me, what works the most is how much are you going to script yourself naked when you go to counseling?
Exactly.
Okay.
Because to us, we are everything.
Exactly.
We the bomb, mm-hmm. No flaws, no nothing.
But I'm sorry, baby, but I always say, when I'm talking about Rudy, I'm not as bad to me as I may be to somebody else.
That's
you know
right.
What I'm saying?
That's right, babe. I mean,
so the people I work with, the people I live with, mm-hmm. they probably tell you something. That your brother there, he's a handful. Mm-hmm. Rudy, he's a handful. But to me,
a handful.
I ain't that bad. I mean, I got issues, but I ain't that bad. But to you, you don't see yourself the way sometimes other people see you. Doesn't mean you're the worst person in the world. Just we have issues that it's not that bad. So when you go to counseling, you really have to strip yourself naked. Mm-hmm. You got to suck it up and understand that, you got some, as long as you're coming there and you're not bringing that ambassador, mm-hmm. I feel like that it can absolutely work. Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid to bring up some concerns. That's right. I mean? That's right. Because because you look at it as, I think when you go to these counseling sessions and you do your homework and you come back and you done wrote some things down about your partner. Then when y'all leave out, y'all get in that car. So that's how you view me? You want to throw me under the bus? Yeah. So a lot of times we don't bring you don't bring your authentic self. You don't voice your concerns. Mm-hmm. So that's why it's important. If you are going to have these counselings, you and your significant other, your fiance need to come together and say, hey, be honest, because this is our life. Mm-hmm. I might say some things that you may not necessarily like, mm-hmm. but this is my perspective. Exactly. This is how I feel. Mm-hmm.
Y'all made that statement. You good now? Mm-hmm. Okay, when y'all made that statement regarding, or when you that made the statement about the lady said, well, he's kind of mean, it makes me wonder, when people, then you're going to go in with these unrealistic expectations, mm-hmm. and he might never change. You know what I'm saying? Right. And now you worse. Exactly.
When she said he's kind of mean, I don't know how mean he was. I don't know what
she saw that made her say that. Right.
But where can it go from there? He's going to eventually get nice. Really? Or he may even just show his real true colors.
Once y'all get married.
So, that's why you got to love yourself, know what you deserve, what you want, what you're going to tolerate, what you're not going to tolerate. Mm-hmm. You got to be honest before you can be honest with your potential mate, you got to be honest with yourself. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You deserve somebody that's going to treat you the way you know you're supposed to be treated. So if you bring a young man home to me, and you be like, Dad, he takes care of me. He's so good, but he's mean. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna throw him out the house, mm-hmm. down the stairs. So you know what I mean. So
and
I wouldn't want that for you. I would want somebody that's gonna take care of you and love you, and you know what I mean. So I would, Jaquil, at least he works and he's gonna provide for you, and
with love, there's
gonna be okay, Jaquil. Just be nice to him. Mm-hmm. Don't make him mad. No, I'm not gonna tell you nothing like that.
Because in love, there's no buts.
Exactly.
There is no there is no follow. There's no buts. There is nothing followed up when you love mm-hmm. somebody. Mm-hmm. He did, but mm-hmm. But no, ma'am.
But the one thing I can say, like, when people do the research and do the work as far as getting you right and making sure that this person is not saying how unrealistic criteria.
That's right.
But once you do the work and put everything on the table, I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I think I remember it.
I was just saying. Okay. No, I was saying you're absolutely right. A lot of the times we put in those buts, and it's not like, but you know, he has bad morning breath. It's like, but he don't want to work, or but she does not, you know, like take care of her kids, or it's these crazy buts that it's like will really impact the intimacy of a relationship and a marriage.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
I love it, y'all. I really
them
do.
butts are terrible.
Yeah, them butts are
Yeah,
horrible.
because it's not buts like, but she can't cook, or but
Yeah.
you know,
So y'all can work on
Because
that.
that's something y'all can work on together.
And
You
me
know
and
what
your
I'm
mom
saying?
discussed that too. We discussed that, like, I guess that was part of one of the other questions.
It was. So we ain't gonna jump ahead. Yeah.
okay. So my next question, guys, was this. It was, um, okay, this is an interesting one. How can people who are not in a relationship practice intimacy now?
By studying themselves. That's kind of like going back to question one.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Going back to question one, you know, we'll just say defer there. By studying themselves, you know, intimacy. What is intimacy? Closeness, a familiarity, right? So you are studying yourself. So that's part of that practice, in my opinion. Becoming familiar with yourself. When you become familiar with yourself, you know what you want and what you don't want.
Exactly.
You know what leaves a bad taste in your mouth and what, you know, what does not.
Exactly. That's why when we say refer to question one, then when you alone, trying to prepare yourself for the next level, like relationship or marriage, a lot of times you'll overlook things that you see right there in your face, because in your words, a lot of times it's mostly women, but not only women. I'm alone. I'm alone and lonely.
Yeah.
But if you question one,
you're never alone.
Alone. No, you always have God, and you have to be fine or comfortable in your own self
with being alone.
Because then you'll go from relationship to relationship. And if you think about it, sometimes just sit down and evaluate yourself or talk to your friends. I was 13 years old, you sneaking me, you having a boyfriend, and then 14, 15, 16, 17, you've always with something. You're 20, 25, 26, 27, your 30s. It's always, you never had an opportunity to
learn yourself.
A lot of us don't even know who the world we are because we always with somebody else, and you know what I mean? So you taking on that person's issues and life and situations, and you don't know who you are.
Instead of just saying, wait a minute, let me reset, right?
I done jumped out of this relationship. It was a bad relationship. Let me just step away and just love me, get me back on track. Yeah. But nope.
I think I said it wrong in the beginning. I called them serial monogamers, but that's not right. No. Just serial relationship people, right? Yeah.
So you have to have somebody. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can just count on your hand, just count a lot of females or even males, that's always in a relationship back to back. And not one time
taking a
break. But it's like you missing out on something. Oh, I met him. I'm go ahead, or she's alone. So this is my chance. No, you more important than she is, because if you not right, you're gonna ruin that or mess yourself up even further.
Right. So, or continue the same cycle of the type of dudes or women that you date or that you get in a relationship with. So a lot of times it's just important it's okay to step back, relax. Even if you got to reevaluate what went wrong in that previous relationship, where you went wrong at, what thought you played in that relationship. You know what I mean? Yeah, ain't nobody saying relive it and stay there.
Exactly.
Your goal is to come out stronger, right? But it's still good to kind of reevaluate, like, what went wrong? Where did I go wrong?
Exactly.
Where did he go wrong? Vice versa. You know what I mean? So in order how can people who are not married practice intimacy now? Study yourself, defer to question one.
And I remember this time I was in the doctor's office. These women were talking, and I don't know how the conversation started. And I was telling them, I said, being single is a blessing, just like being married is a blessing. Oh, you can say that because you with somebody, you don't know how it is to be lonely. I said, being single is a blessing. When you're single, you can do all the things that you want and need to do. When you're married, you have to put
You got
the
somebody
other
else
person
Yep.
ahead of you.
Mhm.
Ahead of you. You know, you got kids to worry about and your partner to worry about. But when you're single, you can do everything you need to do for you. And if you know you're a selfish person, you can get all that them little selfish me's out. You can be selfish when it's just you, but when you're with somebody else, you got to consider
that other person.
So
there's no room for
Mhm.
you know, when it's just you like, oh God, why did I do that? That was a mistake.
I'm not making my bed up today.
There's no room for
I'm not washing these dishes today. I'm sorry.
What's the word I'm trying to use? There's no room for, I guess, error.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because when you have somebody else to think about, when you have, and you really, it's like, for me, and I'm speaking about Janice, I'm not gonna do anything to harm myself, right?
Yeah.
But I'm definitely not gonna do anything to harm him, period. So when I look at stuff, I don't just look at it in terms of me. I look at it in terms of how it's gonna affect us. Because I'm gonna tell you, anybody know me, they know my favorite thing is I love this dude. And when it comes to Rudy, I'm gonna take care of Rudy. Like, I'm not expecting anybody else to do it. I am going to take care of him. So any decision that I make, I have to think of it in terms of us and not just me. But when you're single, you don't have anybody else to consider but yourself.
Okay.
And I'm sorry to me to cut you off, Jakir.
No, you're fine.
Just like when I don't know if we were getting ready to get married or just I got married, I had an opportunity to this job opportunity presented itself. And I would do a lot of traveling. And I'm like, we were so young, you know what I mean? Like, y'all were young. And I was like, man, financially, we'd have been all right. We'd have been okay. But I'm like, man, just married, these kids small, I can't leave her. You know, I would have been back and forth, but I'd have been out for months and
at a time.
Weeks. And I decided to not to take the job because I didn't want to leave her and y'all, because, you know, we were so young in the marriage. Now, if I was single, he could have been gone, traveling the world and, you know, just making all the money I could make, you know what I mean? But I chose to, but I didn't make the bad choice. I'm not mad about the decision, but I made the choice because I had a family to think about, you know what I mean? So that was one of those things where if you are single, you can make that decision. You can take care, you know what I mean? So not to say I regret it, but when you're single, you can do all those things that you need to do. Like if you want to look, I'm gonna go in just dive in these books. I'm gonna go to school and knock this master's out and just go to get in college or work. I'm gonna travel. I'm gonna do this. When you're single, you can do that. But when you're married, like, yo, I'm gonna go ahead and travel the world, and your partner be like, excuse me? We gonna travel, so you don't have to worry about that. Not to saying it's a bad thing.
So that's when he say being single is a blessing, just like being married is a blessing. We have to look at the pros and cons. There's nothing wrong with being single. Right. Some people sometimes look at being single as like a failure. I'm almost 40 years old and I'm still single, and it's a blessing. You know what I mean? Just defer question one to make sure that you're in a good place to be with somebody else. Yeah. And then, you know, just put it all in God's hands. If it's meant to be, it'll be. But make sure you are always in the place where God needs you to be at for you to be marriage material. Right. And that's the thing about it. That the point I was going to make when you said that is, you know, when you defer to question one is prepare yourself for that person. Because when you are intimate with God, that's ultimately what you're doing is, and your desire, because remember, these are for people who want to be married, and your desire is to be married, then prepare yourself for that person. Because as soon as you prepare yourself for that person, God is gonna bring them. God is gonna bring them. You just have to be ready to receive them, though.
Right.
And when I come across people that's newly married or getting ready to get married, they ask, man, how you do it for so long? And I explain to them little stuff about, you know, some of stuff what we're talking about. And I said, you have an opportunity, even with people having kids that's young or getting ready to have kids. I said, you have a chance to do something that a lot of us didn't do. you can get it right the first time.
That's right.
You don't have to go through
babe.
all the stuff that you can get it right the first time. Defer to question one. Get you right. And then, you know what I mean? You can get it right the first time. So a lot of these hiccups and ups and downs, you don't even have to see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So your kids don't even have to
go
see
through certain things.
You know, exactly, because, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So,
y'all got it right the first time. And one thing I wanted to say from a perspective of someone who's single is I feel that being by myself for this particular time has taught me how to, like, I really like myself. And I think a lot of the times we don't like to be single because we really don't like ourselves.
That we don't want to sit in that space and have to think. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to space, so you just jump into it. That sometimes that's what it takes, though. And not even sometimes, all the times that's what it takes.
Right. It does. And I agree. And I feel that it's interesting to me how you can say, like you said that, defer to question one, you're never alone because you have God. But the thing about it is, how are you saying you're ready to be in a relationship with someone else and you don't even like who you are?
Right, because you remember what I said in question one is basically what that is it's basically when you are intimate with God, he's showing you that you can't find love or I guess affirmation in somebody else.
Exactly.
Right? So that's what he's teaching you. It can't be found in another person.
Exactly.
So a lot of times we like a dog chasing our tail when it comes to that. You can't find it anywhere else.
Exactly.
That is so good.
Yourself. You got to enjoy yourself. You know what I mean? If you don't enjoy yourself and love yourself, who else gonna love you and enjoy you?
Mm-hmm. And the thing about that is, even when you got ways about yourself that isn't good, that isn't profound, like you know that, but you can deal with that by yourself and understand, okay, I got some ways that I need to change. And it's not necessarily for a person, it's just so that I can be a better person. It's so that I can be a better daughter, a better friend, a better employee. You know what I'm saying? And so my thing is, too many people are saying they don't like being single. I'm like, so you don't like yourself?
Because that's what it's one person, right?
Yeah.
And they don't know.
They don't know what they like outside of that relationship, that 5-year relationship. They don't know what they like. They don't know their dislikes. They don't know any of that by themselves. It's always because you always are joined at the hip. Right. And that's why it's just like, a lot of times we wonder where all this discord, because like that time when y'all did the baggage claim, you don't even have time to drop that first thing of baggage off because you bringing it into the next one.
Exactly.
Right. And I love that because I think about, like, it's also a form of not loving yourself, right? And the reason why I say that is because for me, with being by myself, I've also had to have a lot of uncomfortable conversations.
Hey,
like Kiki did not like to tell herself that, hey, you procrastinate. You take your time on doing stuff that you really don't need to, or that's a form of self-sabotaging. And who wants to know that you are the person who will stab your own self in the back? So I think to myself, if I'll stab my own self in the back, what would I do in a relationship?
That's right.
And that's an uncomfortable question that you got to have with yourself. But when you say you don't want to be by yourself, it sounds almost like, am I not good enough to just be alone and just to focus on me? And like
just for right now, just for right now. Because again, you have to prepare yourself for the true love. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to keep going to audition after audition after audition. Because I told you, for me, it's important for me not to waste time. Because again, Kiki, you don't get a lot of it. And we can see that in this day and time. Do not waste your time.
Exactly.
So I'm not, after coming from this relationship, when I met your dad, I knew what I wanted. I had already named for that whole time that I was single, minding my business with these 2 kids. I had already made up in my mind what I wanted in a man. I knew what I wanted in a man. So therefore, it wasn't, and I wasn't, for me, I wasn't gonna deviate from that.
I love it. I love it. But you know what you
But
said?
you have to stick to it.
Yeah,
you can't.
You
can't be afraid to let him or her go.
Because you're so afraid that when the next and when the next, if I do this, when the next audition gonna come.
Exactly. And one thing for me, this is just my perspective. My perspective is my, perspective.
Is your perspective.
That's right. Mean? So one thing that I see a lot of times with women, y'all will consult another woman about a man.
Mm-hmm.
It's only so much another woman can tell you about a man.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all won't go to another man to find out, I guess, because, well, I know what you're going to say.
You're afraid what's going to be said.
That's right. Well, he's going to, if you have I ain't say you catch a random stranger, but if you have a person that you respect, or that cares about you, want the best for you, like a parent or uncle, or even maybe a co-worker, something that y'all have a good relationship. Hey, let me ask you a question. Why do men such and such and such? But y'all are asking another woman, and the woman like, well,
she don't know no more. She
exactly. She gonna tell me, well, he got some pretty eyes, She gonna tell you something, but a man gonna tell. You know what I mean? It's okay, because a lot of times y'all don't want to hear the truth. You know what I mean?
But you know what, though? On the contrary, that you might also catch a woman who will tell you to leave a really good man.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why I say it's sometimes.
So the first thing they'll say is, "Oh, girl, I would never put up with that." Right. That's why you got to be careful who you consult now. Mm-hmm. As married couples, you have to be careful who you consult, and that's why I can count on, like my husband just said, as it relates to his friends and having a 2-parent home. I can count on one hand, not using all my fingers, who I consult when it comes to my marriage.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it.
Because the thing about it is, what I'm learning is that a lot of the times with women, our non-negotiables are things that should be negotiable, and our negotiables are things that should be
non-negotiable. That's
so
right.
You'll say, I'm making $75K. He need to make $50K. That shouldn't even be a non-negotiable. Them having an agree, that's a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
But then we'll bend on, him being a Christian and you a Christian. He don't even got to believe in God at all.
Yeah, exactly. You just all in the wrong place. You all
once
in the
we get
wrong
married,
place.
He gonna get saved.
Yeah. You think you can change? That's the thing. We
can
change.
The man tell you, he told you when he first met you, oh, I don't do that God stuff. I don't go to church. Oh, wait, you gonna change that when we get married?
She ain't gonna tell him that he gonna change.
Exactly.
She just gonna go. She going in saying in her mind, oh, I'm gonna change this. No.
You know how we do when we pray, we want something, we'll bow our heads, Lord. Oh, okay, I got the answer now. You ain't even get the Lord a chance to speak. The Lord said, yeah. You know what I mean? You gotta be realistic about stuff. You know what I mean? When you go seek God about something like that, you gotta really seek Him, and you gotta shut up and let Him answer. Because we do all the talking, and God, God told me, he gonna be my husband. God ain't told you nothing.
One thing I just want to drop in the lap to the single people as well, and then we'll transition is, of course, going to therapy, but not going to therapy just because it's cute. Actually getting
right, or it's the end thing now.
It's the end thing now, yeah.
You're hearing it a lot.
Actually going to therapy and telling the truth about childhood trauma.
Being naked.
Yes, and then also, write into God about things that really bother you. So, like, if there's something in your life that you're really concerned about, even if you don't write, but talking to Him, and like Dad said, this is also a spiritual platform. So I will say, fasting about this stuff, like fasting about it, praying about it. And then also, on a physical standpoint, y'all, is don't, like Dad always tell me, don't expect for a man to be what you're not. So if you want a man who got a 6-pack, making sure that you start to become that woman. So I guess
get yourself together.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yes. So my thought process here is just being intimate with yourself, that if you're single and it's something that you're not okay with your man bringing into a relationship or your woman bringing into a relationship, then you start working on those things so you won't be the person bringing it in too.
Exactly. Very valid point. Very valid point.
Yep. So I like that, y'all. So
and one thing when you said about that, but a lot of times as men, we think we can handle any situation. You know, you meet a woman and she's just a wreck and she's a mess. You know, men, we'll stick our chest out. I can fix that. I can take it.
No, you can't.
You ain't even together. How you gonna fix it?
No,
y'all gonna be two messed up people. Y'all gonna have some messed up gumbo.
that roux gonna be horrible in that gumbo. The roux, the first thing you get in the gumbo.
As men, we got to realize, you know, we can't fix everything. You know what I mean? We think that we are champions. That it's nothing. It's not a situation that we can't handle because we men. No, you know, you got to get defer to question one. You know, as a man, we need to go, you know, we need to have intimate relationships and closeness with God as well. You know, this is not just for women to men. We need to be vulnerable and lay it all on the table. It's okay to get by yourself and cry and snot and roll around on the floor and like, God, I'm messed up, man.
Good. And that's the whole thing about a relationship. I love that I could be vulnerable with him. You know what I mean? Like that's to me, Kiki, that's the most important thing that I can go into, that I'm in this 25-year marriage, that I trust my husband to take care. And when I say take care, I'm not talking about monetary. I'm talking about emotionally, mentally, where I can be vulnerable. I can show myself to him and know that he's going to take care of me.
And likewise, like I could come to her broke down, or I can walk through this door trying and snotting. She can be like, man, if you don't pull yourself together, you a man, dry them tears, go out there and you come back in like you supposed to. She was like, baby, come here, what's coming? She going, come on, let me, come here. What's wrong?
That's right.
Y'all just because it's a lot of men, we good?
Now we can.
It's a lot of men who, if they were to cry in front of their partner, I've heard a podcast before where the man said he don't cry in front of any girl he's with because in the past it's been utilized as reinforcement. Well, that's why you was crying because your mama treats you like ass. Or that's why you was crying because your dad haven't been in your life. Or you crying because you having issues with your baby mama and she not letting you see your daughter. Why would you weaponize his emotions when he already don't have a safe place? You supposed to be.
And you are, and that's the thing, outside of God, you know, we are each other's safe place. So he should always be able to come to me in a vulnerable state and me not weaponize it.
But as men, we're taught even at a young age, don't cry.
Yes, not good to cry. Man ain't
boy
supposed
fall
to cry.
down and off the bike, skin himself up. You tough, you a man, you don't cry. No, like even when Ty used to cry, you hurt yourself, I pet him up, man, you okay, buddy? You all right? No, just shake it off. You okay? You okay? Now, you know, ain't gonna let him sit there and cry for the rest of the day. You know what I mean? If he's truly hurt, I mean, man, you all right? Brush it off. You good? Okay. You know, I pet him up, encourage him, and man, it's okay. You okay? Because then we grow up not being able to express our emotions, so we hold it all in.
Men think because they've been taught that it's a weakness in crime.
Yeah, and then you keep all that anger in. It's gonna come out one day, and when it come out, you might not want to be on the other end of all that anger. You know what I mean? So
can I ask a question? Well, can I make a statement about what you just said? So I was looking at a documentary and it was talking about, you know, how back in days of slavery, and like maybe we'll say Jim Crow time, how you had Mammy, and then, you know, they call him Uncle Sam, or Uncle Tom or something along those lines. And they was giving all these different characters, but they was saying how African-American men, they didn't have a safe place because they, first of all, your head on the swivel, because not only are the slave owners raping the women, but they also raping the men, to be honest. So that's trauma. And then Mammy, her love of her life is being stripped from her home. And so now when she go to these white people house
or emasculated,
yeah. So when she go to these white people house, she's able to really put on for their kids, really give them everything that they need. But then when she go home, she's angry. She's snapping on her own kids.
Even her milk. She's giving everything emotionally and physically to those children. Right. And when she gets home, she's stripped of everything.
But then that woman or that man, when they go home to their children, they're teaching their children what, and their children going to teach them what. So then now look at you looking at 2020. Was 2022? Like, why are these people so angry? Because that's been passed down. That's all I've known. That's all I've known. You know what I mean? Yep. Why? I mean, I don't understand why. Why do y'all act like with women? Why is she so angry? I mean, she was left to raise all these kids She's left to raise all these kids by herself. You know, okay, she may have chose the wrong man. You know what I mean? But now she's left with all these children, all these responsibilities to take care of by herself. Of course she's gonna be angry and bitter and hurt. And then she meet a man, and as men, the first thing we say, oh man, she crazy. And you don't know what that woman done been through, or you don't know what that man done been through, or how he was raised to make him. That's why you gotta defer to question one. So you know what I mean? Yeah. Just like, nothing against my dad, the way he was, he didn't, he had his own little mental issues, and I used to get angry with him as a child, like a lot, when I'm gonna come get you. So I run to the window, I'd be waiting all day long. He would never show up. And then that started making me mean and angry. I get angry. It made me angry. I got angry, and that anger turned to meanness and bitterness. And that was in me, you know what I'm saying? So that violent stuff in me, it had to come out at some time, but it was because of him. But I thank God that me and my dad patched it up, and we was able to, have a good relationship in the end. Yeah, but he taught, like you said, like my wife said, and you can't mimic what you have never seen. So his father wasn't there, so he didn't know. So not making excuses for nobody, because my dad wasn't there, or my mom was like she was, no. You have to defer to question one and get all that stuff, get you together, so that you putting an end to that cycle, so that your children will not experience the hurt that you and your brothers and sisters, or your father or your mother experience.
That's good.
Well, child, that almost made me a little teary-eyed. And the reason why I say that is because it makes you also have compassion for the past generations to realize.
Yeah, you have
through traumatic experiences, and they in 1960, when you're just trying to survive, making sure you're going on the right bus, making sure you're not walking in the area where you could get possibly lynched. And there's no Black therapist, by the way. You know what I'm saying? It's no therapist, it's no male therapist at all. And if it is a therapist, it's therapists who are white men who don't look nothing like you. And your pastor going through the same thing that you're going through. So his only message is hang on. Another day gonna come. You know what I'm saying? The sun will shine again.
Hold on to God unchanging hand.
I'm telling you, and they're teaching these struggle messages. We're not taught to love. We're taught to struggle and to survive and to be, what's the word? They say Black people are resilient. But we're not taught, in the midst of being resilient, how to actually love. And not only love each other, but love ourselves. So that was so good. And I know y'all probably thought this was a podcast about love and buying each other roses, but
this is love.
Yeah, but this love. This love.
We talking about real love. That I have for you guys is, how do couples burn extremely low? How do couples burn extremely low or not at all? And when I say burn, I mean, how does their intimacy burn extremely low or not at all?
Say that one more time, because you were going in and out.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah.
I was asking, how do couples' intimacy burn either low or not at all?
One of the things for us, when we were going over this question, one of the things I said was, stress the importance of carving out intimate time for one another. Like, we were talking about a lot of times You know, for a lot of couples, you know, it's in today's time in 2022, a lot of couples are going into a marriage with blended families, meaning, you know, one or both may have children from previous relationships. Or, you know, they get right into the marriage and if they don't have any children and they're just bringing themselves, they get into the marriage and immediately have children and don't take time to basically spend that time, you know, and I'm not anti-kids because we have kids.
Yes.
What I'm saying is, if you're going into a marriage and you don't have any kids, you know, it's nothing wrong with spending a couple of years of establishing yourself.
Have a little plan.
We're
going to do this, then we're going to have a
and then we're going to go ahead and start, you know, having our children. There's nothing wrong with that. But, you know, if you're going into that marriage, again, you got the kids or you immediately have the kids, you got to understand the first several years of marriage, in my opinion, my perspective, guys, is that those are the hardest in a marriage. You know, you're trying to establish yourselves as husband and wife. If you have these kids, you have the kids that you have to worry about. You know, you're moving into a new home, new neighborhood, maybe even a new state. You know, you got the stresses of that. Sometimes if you're not in a financial place, and you may be just starting out in your careers, you know, you may be, just trying to get, y'all combining finances, going over budgets. That stuff is not really, that stuff is not really settled out yet. We forget about us, meaning husband and wife, right? And then you do all of that. Then you look 10, 15, 20 years later, your children are grown. And you look,
who is this person?
You don't even know.
You don't know each other.
Nothing about each other because you spent so much time, worrying about the children, going to recitals, doing this, doing that, doing this. You had no time for one another. Now y'all don't even know each other. Y'all don't have nothing in common anymore. Like, he's not the person that you fell in love with. She's not the person that you. So it's important to, no matter what. And the thing about it is, dating one another, for us, it's highly important to have a date night a week. And no matter what, we are going to have it. And people looking like, but you know what? That's such a financial burden. That's this, that's that. Dating.
Now, we can go to Taco Bell and get $3 worth of tacos, sit in the parking lot and eat them tacos and just talk. A date doesn't mean it has to cost anything. It's just time for me and her, this whatever. Come on, baby, we're going to ride out. We ain't got much gas. But shoot, let's just ride to the corner and just watch the cars get on the interstate. It's just and just talk.
Carve out that time. And the importance of that is don't use your date time to talk about a bill or the children. Use the date time to rediscover one another. Exactly. When he and I, I'm gonna get back to that though. When I was saying you could date in the house, you could get you a nice meal or whatever you're gonna do, prepare it and take that time out. Say I'm gonna put these kids are going to bed at a specific time.
They should be in bed
this is your time to rediscover one another.
Just a long time away from everybody else. Like you say, it could be in the house. We could pop into Netflix. If you ain't got Netflix, go to Redbox, get you a DVD. Something. You know what I mean? Do anything or just.
But we don't talk about that's the time, our date nights once a week. And you could do more, if that's what it takes. However, but
depending on what y'all time schedule look like, even if it's only once a month,
carve out time.
You got to set aside some time. And it doesn't have to be, we going away for the whole weekend. We got kids. Come on, realistically, anybody want to watch the kids all the time. So you have to set aside, like you say, the kids going to school. Okay, I'm gonna call. I got some personal time. I ain't gonna go to work today. Let's hang out, man. Let's go to get some breakfast or let's cook breakfast. Let's cook breakfast like we used to do when we first started.
Me and your dad make it a habit on Sundays to cook breakfast together. Mm-hmm. Every Sunday morning. This is just us, what we do. And like I said, for us, we don't talk about bills when we date. Mm-hmm. We don't talk about any of that. We talk about us. Yes. One of the questions that always come up every date night is, how did I love you this week?
Exactly.
And I know people may look at that as corny. Some may be like, what? Because what if we just were so busy and something could have happened that I feel like, oh, that was he's lacking in that area.
Exactly. I got my hair done today. You didn't say
nothing. And so and then and he'll respond, well, you love me great this week.
Or if it was something, baby, you would kind of standoffish.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on, and you be like, well, yada, boom. That's resolved. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And she'd be like, well, I'm sorry, baby. I'm gonna love you better this week, and yada yada, and vice versa. It just we lay it all on the table. Like I say, this all sounds good and sounds scripted and sound rehearsed. But this is almost 30 years of
That's right. We've been
mistakes and flaws, and because just like you said, like deferring to question one, we didn't defer to question one when we got married. Mm-hmm. We trial and error.
Yep.
It's been some interesting times to get to the point where we actually like each other.
That's
because through this 30-year relationship, sometimes I used to wake up, look at her. I'm being honest. You wake up some days not actually liking the person you laying there to, and it happens. Mm-hmm. But through trial and error, man, we all right. I think I like you. All right.
I like it. And I say this too. The first question one, can y'all hear me?
Yeah. Yes. Now.
We good?
Yeah.
Defer to question one, because in order to be intimate in a relationship, that's what a single person could understand. Taking time for yourself when you need it.
Yeah, that self-love, that self-care.
Yeah,
get your hair done, get your nails done. Carve out time for yourself. Mm-hmm. But that's why I said, a lot of times we forget in the hustle and bustle of everyday life that, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, in the hustle and bustle of everyday life, we forget the most important, person. Not saying that, I'm just saying we forget the most important, the normal hustle and bustle life. If you're single, most important person is you. You know what I mean? Yep. If you're not good for yourself, you're not good for anybody. So that's why I just say, carve out time for yourself. Yeah, you got kids. Yeah, you have this. Even if you say, well, you know what, I don't even have no family here to babysit for my kids. Like he said, even if they in daycare or, if they go to daycare, they're going to school. While they're going, y'all got, take some time off and say, you know what, today it's gonna be date time. We'll have a date while the kids in school.
We're gonna fill up the bathtub with water, get some Epsom salt, and we're gonna soak our own feet.
Yeah,
it don't take money much. It don't take money to like say have a successful date.
And that's one of the things that we learned earlier on in our relationship. We didn't just start dating. We've always did that.
Love it. And the reason why I say that is because also as it relates to dating, we got this part. It's called Oak Grove Lake Park. Go say, let me go set up a picnic table and we're gonna go ahead and have
simple things.
Something that we've already packed from home. You know what I'm saying?
It's simple.
Mount Trashmore. You go in. Every city has a city park. Yeah. You go anywhere and just hang out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I love it, y'all. This is so amazing because I think that's why a lot of couples lack intimacy is because they don't even know each other. So that leads to my next question, which I think y'all kind of actually answered, was how can couples keep the embers burning and lit? And we talked about date night. Do y'all have anything else to add to that?
Yeah, we'll just add a couple things, so because we don't want to lose them in the midst of trying to give them good nuggets too. So one of the things was forgiveness, knowing how to forgive one another, and again, don't keep tabling the argument. Work through it, even if it takes you 8 hours to get through it. Don't keep bringing it up. Forgiveness, right? Patience. Marriage takes a lot of patience. Exactly. Marriage takes patience.
Just like your wife, some of her friends, be like, oh, I wish I could find a husband like Rudy. No, you don't. Rudy didn't defer to question one. So I came into the relationship
already flawed. You know
broken,
what I mean?
torn to pieces. But I'm a man. I can handle any situation. I got you, baby. I couldn't even fix myself. But I'm supposed to fix everything else. Like you say, forgiveness, patience,
communication and understanding. Because just because you communicate, you know, everybody don't have understanding there. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, but you know, some people, what they say, they listen to talk and not listen to hear. You know what I mean? So,
like you say, when you communicate and be like, well, baby, you know, I don't like the way you talk. You know, every time we have a conversation, you have to yell. Well, the lack of understanding going to tell you to say something. Well, that's just how I am. You know,
no,
I'm supposed to take it because you don't know how to talk to nobody. No, you got to be understanding. Like, okay, I'm sorry, baby. I'm raising my voice. Let me talk. So you know, because when you hollering, you're not really understanding. Because if you holler at somebody, they're gonna holler back, and that's when y'all got to shout and match. And
ain't nothing being said.
Nothing being said.
Especially that's constructive. Stuff being said, but not nothing that's constructive or that's gonna fix the situation. And one of the other things is compassion. You got to be compassionate. Yeah.
That's so good. And the reason why I say that is because what we got to understand is that we're not always right. So if you in a relationship where you always got to feel like you got to be right.
you got to stop, babe.
I'm just playing.
That's a lie.
See, look at the couch tonight. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you got to always feel like you're right. You know what I'm saying? Then I feel that that's already something within you where Dad was saying, the question one.
Well, you ain't never did nothing. Who, me?
Yeah.
Me?
Exactly.
No, yeah, girl. Yeah, you.
Be tell you the truth, you know, that's easy because I get mad and I be feeling like, no, I ain't do that. I can do no wrong. But the reality of the situation, it's been a couple of arguments that I've had, family, friends, relationships, and I'm like, no, you were all the way wrong. Like, I was all the way wrong. My whole perception of that situation was not right at all. And so I had to understand that, putting all pride aside, you're not always right, Jaquil, because you're not perfect.
Yes.
Yes. And as hard as it is, it's okay to say I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's a key to say I'm sorry. But it's okay to say I'm sorry.
I love it. My next question for you guys is, y'all kind of answered it. Why is communication and romance important for love? I really want to go into that romantic piece because I know we didn't really talk a lot about romance, but a lot of couples I feel like are missing that romantic situation, and everybody romance is different. So like, why is those things important as it relates to intimacy?
You got to keep that relationship exciting.
Yeah, people think romance and intimacy is the same thing.
No.
Two different things.
Keep it going. Like the same thing you did to get them, you got to do the same thing to keep them, right? So it's important. Keep the romance. Like your dad, I just can't, like, the thing about him is he's gonna always set the tone. You know what I mean? And so therefore, you know, even like our anniversary is coming up, marking 25 years, right? So we don't already, you know, we get excited. Kiki, you know us. We get excited when it comes to
about this stuff.
You know,
we about this stuff.
Yeah, we serious about anniversary time. We might not, you know, but when it comes to and I think for us, it's almost like for he and I, it's almost like a competition. Yeah. Like we gonna one up each other, and so, but for us, that's romantic. You know what I mean? Even if we say for COVID, we haven't. Your dad and I love to travel. That's one of the things that we love to do, and you know, it's important because it's something that we've taken on later in our lives, right? So, but once we started, we love to do it. And so even with COVID, you know, we kind of been kind of like not being able to do anything and be closed in, but we ain't scared to say we're gonna take one night and we'll go to, wherever we go to spend a night together, or just to get away, just to get in a different atmosphere. Again, we dating, keeping the romance. Y'all got to keep it going.
It don't cost nothing to date. You know what I mean?
Keep it going. That romance is excitement.
Y'all just said something that's so profound. One that I heard was, romance is important because you got to keep it. I guess you got to keep it spicy.
Yeah, you got to keep it lit.
Mm-hmm. You got to keep it lit. That's what it's for. Keep this Embers of love is important.
It's lit.
It's lit. Y'all dance on some your own stuff. I'm weak. But then also it costs nothing to date. And I believe that, you gotta go to the Dollar Tree, get some candles, light some candles.
You do that, but there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah. But another thing is too, I think for us, me and your dad, one thing, and I know you say speak to the romance piece of it, but I've talked to you about this a lot too, is that knowing your place in a relationship, right? Mm-hmm. Because, and I say that only because your dad and I, and keeping our embers lit, we kind of got that. I told you we got what we consider that modern traditional relationship. It works for us. Exactly. It works for us. We ain't saying that y'all got to do it. We saying that this works for us. How we do it. And I say that is because yes, we definitely believe in gender roles. We believe in gender roles. Your dad always said, "You take care of what's going on inside this house. I take care of what's going on outside the house."
I agree.
You know what I mean? We believe in gender roles. However, it's a lot of times when he said, "You go ahead and cook, I'll get the dishes."
I ain't too manly to pick up a vacuum cleaner.
Right.
Now I'm not saying I'm gonna do it every day, but
and that's fine with that's fine with me.
But I ain't too manly to pick up a vacuum cleaner.
And also he don't care about going to no grocery store or whatever.
If I'm already out and I'm like, we need something from the store, I'm gonna pick it up. Some guys wouldn't. No, that's your job. If I'm already out.
And that's what he always said. We don't care about that. But that's one of the things too that I think that works well and keep these embers burning too, is because we've established this in our relationship. Like a lot of times, again, when y'all get together, you meet that ambassador or you catfishing, and then you get in a relationship, you're like, she don't want to cook, she don't want to clean, she don't want to do this, she don't want to do that. You knew that. So my thing is, we established roles within our marriage early. We did that early on.
We have a saying in our relationship that we're not perfect, but we're perfect for one another.
That's right.
I love it. And you know what? Why that is so true is because for you guys, what I noticed is it's not too much pressure on Mona cook, but it's not too much pressure on you to like cut the grass. It's like y'all understand that we both work, we both are busy people, and we're gonna get to it. It ain't gonna be 3 or 4 or 5 weeks that I'm not gonna cook. And it's not going to be 8 or 10 weeks that I'm not going to cut the grass, but it's just that we work, both of us work. And that's modern traditional. And it can't be, it's been times, where I've seen Mom very rarely, but put gas in her own car. But it's been times where I've seen Dad very rarely cook. You know what I'm saying? And I think that
people look at me like, what? When they like gas is high, I don't know what the market value of gas is going for because I don't pump gas. I just don't. I've never pumped gas in this whole marriage. He gas up
sometimes the car. I may forget or whatever, and she'll stop and it bothers me when she has to put gas, and she's like, "It's okay, I don't mind. I'll just put But I usually that's just something that I've always done. It's not like it's like I said, that works for us. This our gumbo. We put our
own ingredients in.
So however y'all want to fix y'all's, that's fine. Whatever works for you, works for you. But what works for us?
Works for us.
It just works for us. And so here's the bonus question. And I don't know if y'all actually participated in that, but what is y'all love language? Because I'm like, hold on, wait right quick. Because y'all been my parents since I was born. And I never knew y'all love language, but I kind of guessed. And so I kind of want to take the time to guess.
So what was your guess?
Well, I know for a fact yours is gifts. It's definitely not, it's not no type of physical touch. I already know that. It's gifts.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Oh, so it's gifts, and I'm probably certain that it's probably quality time.
Well, I mean that's good, but see, for one of my
No,
Originally, she
maybe
originally she had
originally I had gifts. I
but
did.
she pulled back. I don't want to seem selfish. So
Or I didn't want to seem like, you know what I mean? So, but one of mine is definitely words of affirmation and acts of service.
that's probably true. Because that is acts of service too. So for dad, I'm pretty sure dad's is also gifts, but I think that also is being on words of affirmation as well. But I could be wrong.
No, but because you know what though? What do I do when I call you in the morning? When I call you when you at work, babe, what do I do?
Is it quality time?
No, affirm you, babe.
Oh, you talking about when you call me? Yeah. Oh, you had lost me for a minute.
He like when, see? They like, oh, this shit,
yeah. But me, I got acts of service because I don't require a lot, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like far as like with a bunch of, oh, I love you is out there. I mean, I don't need to hear that every 5 minutes.
He wants you to show him.
You show me, I'm fine with it.
Mm-hmm. He wants you to show you.
Now that I know these, this is good to know, even as a daughter, so I can kind of know how to.
Yeah, because I mean that's just like when he said acts of service, like I told you some women they be like, I cook, but he do. One of the things that I absolutely love to do for him, I love when he's sitting here watching the games or looking at TV or whatever, and I cook and I serve him. I don't want him to get up for nothing. A fork, a spoon, a paper towel, not to put up his plate. This is what's worked for us because this is our gumbo, guys. You know what I mean? And some women they say, well, and he expects that. You know what I'm saying? Like now, at first he probably was like, girl, what? Early on, but now he don't move for anything, and I don't require him to.
Just like yesterday, I was eating. I got up. Was it this morning?
It was this morning.
This morning, I got up while she was still eating, and I took my own plate. So it's not like I'm too macho to
but
grab the vacuum cleaner.
Right.
It's not that big of a. It's not that big of a deal. I don't want to just make it sound like that, but it's not an issue. But it's just she's always done that. You know what I mean? But if I'm stand up, I'm not gonna leave the plate there. I just grab it and put it up.
Mm-hmm. But usually I'll periodically may come in and check on him, and if he just haven't, I make sure I clean it up, take it from him and do whatever. But that's just something that I enjoy to do, and that's part of my him enjoying acts of service.
Well, Dad is, y'all hear me?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When I come to think about it, Dad is acts of service because I think about it, gifts. I think it's all three of our thing, you, me, and Jay. But when I think about it with Dad, it's been times it was more so like if you was to bring him something food for lunch, or if you just basically like I know one time when you did lose your dad, me and Jara, we bought like little things from the Dollar Tree.
Love that.
That was better than maybe the more lavish gifts. Because for him, it was like, oh, wow. They got me.
It's just so thoughtful.
And my peroxide. And then, for a fact, you might like cologne or Tim's and stuff like that. I mean, to think about it, I miss both of y'all. But I don't.
Yeah.
So this is so good, y'all. I just, do y'all have any closing remarks for anyone or the audience?
I mean, personally, I just think, first of all, just like he said, it's a blessing to be married.
It's a blessing to be single as well.
And I think, for all of those who are married, of course, do what's absolutely best in your relationship. Mm-hmm. But I mean, love unconditionally. Exactly. Like I said, in love, there are no buts. It's gonna be times where you wake up and you may not like the person that you're laying beside.
In a bad mood.
Yeah, and
hold on, it's okay to say, baby, I ain't having.
Yeah, today not my day today.
Give me some time.
Yeah, give me a couple minutes.
I'm just feeling like.
So know that. My thing is, you're gonna have some roller coasters. You're gonna have some ups and downs. Mm-hmm. But one thing about it, joy is coming in the morning, and that and we are a whole living testimony that within 25 years we have seen ups and downs, but at the end of the day, it ain't. I mean, when I tell you that there is nothing, absolutely nothing that I would not do for him, and vice versa. Like I always say, I will travel. You know, I say this, and I don't say it lightly. I will travel. I will follow him to the ends of this earth. You know why I will? Because I know that he's never gonna take me anywhere. He's gonna always keep it safe for me. So it's important. So say that again. I'm sorry.
Just saying, and a lot of that's what most women want. It's just somebody who they can.
Yeah, he's my safe place. He is. He's my safe place, and he's always made it a priority. Like he'll always say, "Janice, you know how I am about you." You know what I mean? It'd be the little things. I'd be like, "No, I don't necessarily got to have that." Go ahead and give me. He'd be like, "Oh, you know how I am about you." And when I say that he absolutely does not play about me, he does not play about me, and it's vice versa. If he rocking, I'm rolling.
Because in the Bible it says,
I can't hear you. Now I can.
Okay. In the Bible it says, husbands love your wife like, hold on.
Okay.
Because in the Bible it speaks of men love your wife like Christ loved the church. And I know that it ain't nothing that I don't ask God for that I don't get. I know for a fact that, you know, God gonna come through for me. And so essentially what God is telling the men is that's your responsibility. Your wife is your church. So you need to make sure that when you're loving her, you treat her how I would treat her.
That's right. That's right. That's right. But women also, the last thing, I know you won't want to bore them, but the last thing is women don't always be so selfish in a relationship where you're always taking all the energy, but you're not putting anything out. So those are the things. Keeping those embers lit, don't give up, always ride for one another, but you have to be selfless in a relationship too.
And guys, it's okay to be vulnerable.
Yes.
And for your woman, you know.
Yes.
What I mean? It's okay. Yes. It's okay to not poke your chest out.
Because you always
do what I say. I'm the man in the house. It's okay.
Vulnerability is important because that's a sign of trust in that relationship. If you can't be vulnerable in a relationship, you're in the wrong one.
That's true. And it's women. It's okay to let your man. It's okay to let your man take the lead and let him love you. Okay. Let him. Like I said, y'all. It was never designed for a woman to be hard, but you know, from our history come to the present. That's right. That's all they've known. You know what I mean? So it's okay to be vulnerable and soft for your man and goofy and giggly. But men got to make it safe for the women to be to take that stand and be soft too. Man, it's okay, man, not to be Mr. Tough Guy or Tough Tony all day long. Make it safe for these women. Yeah. Like make it safe for them.
But then also women make it safe for these men too, because we don't know what they go through.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Vice versa. That's what she said. That's because
my thought process is Black Lives Matter. We saw the death of George Floyd. We saw the death of all of these Black men who just passed, and we don't know what Black men have to go through in order.
That's why it's important. That's why I affirmate. That's why I said affirmate and affirm them, because then that's why, like I said, when I call them in the morning, I tell them, hey, someone is. I call them and say, hey, I'm just calling to affirm you. You know what I mean? So and then I go through and go through my the affirmations and everything, and then he'll say, thank you, babe. I really appreciate it.
So love y'all. No, literally,
we love you too.
But this episode was so amazing, and I just want to appreciate you guys for being transparent and for coming.
You're welcome.
Time out to share with my audience about the things that people really do go through in relationships. I also just want to thank you guys for just giving a real perspective and not coming from the perspective of it's gonna be about roses and Valentine's Day, but in between the wedding and Valentine's Day and Christmas and anniversary is real life. And
that's real life. Yeah. War. It's gonna be war and some battles lost. You know what I mean? But hey, you got to get up and dust yourself off.
I love it.
You got to get up and dust yourself off.
I just really appreciate y'all, and I just hope my audience receive this, which I know y'all will. Thank you guys for tuning into another healing episode of the Host for Sundays. I'm your host again, and we'll be back to you guys next week
Thank you.
Bye.